A significant deadline is drawing near, and members of the XRP community are getting ready for the next chapter of the SEC v. Ripple case. This is especially true as the deadline is getting closer. The case that Ripple and the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, have been engaged in for more than 4 years, and there is no obvious end date in sight. It's important to note that a significant court deadline is rapidly approaching, and this date has the potential to determine the next stage of the ongoing legal battle. May 15th is the deadline. In the context of the Ripple case, the deadline refers to the expiration of the temporary pause that was granted by the Second Circuit Court of Appeals for a period of 60 days. As was previously reported on April 10, 2025, the parties submitted a joint motion to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals for a 60-day stay, requesting the court to temporarily halt the lawsuit while they make efforts to find a suitable resolution. A free star. It was several days after the parties had verbally agreed to drop their appeals that the request was made. In accordance with the terms of the agreement, Ripple will pay a fine of $50 million, which is a reduction from the previous amount of $125 million. Additionally, the parties will release the permanent injunction that prohibits the business from selling XRP to institutions in the future. Following the conclusion of this agreement, the parties asked the court to grant them a 60-day respite so that they could finalize the settlement. This request was granted by the court on April 16th, and the time for the Securities and Exchange Commission to provide a status report was set for June 15th, mostly rounded to June 16th. Status report from the SEC. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, would provide the court with an official update on the current situation for the resolution in that report. Whether or not they still require further time to accomplish this objective would be shown by this. The deadline for the lawsuit, which was set for June 15th, is drawing near, and the greater XRP community is keen to see what the party's next move would be and how it might have an effect on the case. Remember that the motion for an indicative ruling on the settlement agreement that was submitted by the parties was dismissed by Judge Annalisa Torres. Because of this decision, the Ripple case presented a substantial obstacle that needed to be overcome. The parties have not yet refiled another motion for an indicative ruling. In spite of this, the 15th of June continues to be an important date, as the status report delivered by the SEC will influence the subsequent stage of the case. Ripple and the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, are clearly keen to reach a resolution that would put the case to a conclusion. As a result, it is quite probable that they will communicate their dedication to reaching a resolution in the forthcoming status report, which is due on June 15th. And also, a seasoned cryptocurrency trader has disclosed that he contains a sizable amount of XRP, which is indicative of his bullish view toward XRP. He believes that his holdings will reach $10 million in the near future. This announcement, which was made by a market member who goes by the nickname Crypto Beast, comes at a time when XRP is having a hard time keeping its footing above the $2 mark. This week, XRP has experienced a comeback push, and it is currently trading at $2.17. This is despite the fact that it lost the $2.20 support. In spite of the increasing unpredictability, Crypto Beast continues to be unaffected. In his most recent statement, he said unequivocally that he had never sold any of his XRP tokens. The choice to HODL was made by the trader despite the fact that they had purchased XRP prior to its increase in November 2024. Promotional material. Trader on Freestar anticipates that his XRP position will reach $10 million. Crypto Beast is in possession of 1,832,844, or 1.83 million, XRP tokens, according to the data that is presented in the accompanying figure. A confirmation that the acquisition took place before to November 2024 is provided by the fact that he acquired these assets at an average net cost of $0.836, which is highly interesting. Now, despite the fact that XRP reached a fresh 7-year high of more over $3 in the middle of January, Crypto Beast continues to hold onto his tokens and emphasizes that he has never traded them. During the time that he disclosed the information, the tokens, which he had acquired for a total of $1.532 million, had a value of $3.915 million, which resulted in returns of $2.382 million. The position of XRP according to Crypto Beast. The position of XRP according to Crypto Beast It may be deduced from this that the price of XRP was $2.13 at the time he made his statement. It was revealed by CryptoBeast that the reason he has not sold despite witnessing a profit of almost $2 million is because he has a greater target, which he anticipates XRP will push toward. As far as the trader is concerned, the amount of $10 million is his goal for his investment in XRP. To be more specific, the price of XRP would need to skyrocket to $5.45 in order for the holding of 1.832 million XRP to attain this value. After taking into account the current price of $2.17, this would represent a paltry rise of 151%. CryptoBeast gave his audience his word that he would keep them informed about the situation. The appeal of merely holding on to assets. As a result of the trader's decision to keep the investment on the spot market, there is no possibility of the investment being liquidated. In light of this, even if the price of XRP drops below $1, he still has the option of holding onto his holdings through the storm until the asset reaches the upside target he has set for it. Patience is the sole quality that is required for such a vacant post. In contrast to the leveraged positions held by other skilled traders, such as James Wynn, who recently suffered a loss of $100 million in the Bitcoin futures market, this presents a significant opportunity for investors. James Wynn, who is famous for turning a PEP investment of $7,000 into $25 million, just disclosed his high-leverage Bitcoin trade on Hyperliquid. For those who are not familiar with him, Wynn is a notorious investor. The market, however, liquidated the $1.25 billion long position when Bitcoin BTC experienced a precipitous collapse after reaching the all-time high of $112,000. Because of this, the trader suffered a loss of $100 million. A few days later, he suffered a loss of $25 million on another long position in Bitcoin. These incidents demonstrate how leveraged positions, despite the fact that they offer bigger gains on smaller price swings, can result in catastrophic losses if the price action does not favor the trader. On the other hand, this is not the case with CryptoBeast's position, which merely requires patience during a period of decline. Investors have been urged by analysts inside the XRP community to apply the lessons learned from this playbook. An example of this would be Eduardo Farina's recommendation that market participants buy only 10,000 XRP and keep them for the long haul. These 10,000 tokens might be worth a fortune if prices continue to rise to the levels that he anticipates they will reach. Analysts at eGrag Crypto have confirmed that XRP has continued to follow the direction of the Tesla price in 2018. And they are anticipating an explosive spike after the recent pullback the cryptocurrency experienced. Following the heated interview that Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse gave to 60 Minutes, the market commentator brought this potential to the attention of the audience for the first time. In order to provide some background information, the conference that took place in December of last year was released with a number of significant omissions about the legal clarity of XRP. In particular, Garlinghouse and the broader XRP community were not pleased with this development because it portrayed XRP as an asset that is still struggling with a security label, despite the fact that Judge Annalisa Torres had resolved the problem in July of 2023. Promotional material star XRP Freestar. In the wake of Ripple CEO's 60-minute interview, Tesla is trailing behind. Notably, following the broadcast of the meeting on December 8, 2024, the price of XRP experienced a slight decline, falling from $2.61 to a low of $1.96 the following day. EG Rags drew notice to this pattern and emphasized that Tesla stock, TSLA, saw a price action that was comparable to this after Elon Musk appeared on 60 Minutes in 2018. To be more specific, Musk's interview with 60 Minutes was broadcast in December of 2018. The shares of TLSA saw a precipitous decline shortly thereafter, falling from $25.16 to a low of $11 at some point in June of 2019.